Good morning, everyone. Hey, nice to see you, David, Rudy. Laura, looks like you're still connecting. We're just going to take the first couple of minutes to kind of just let everyone get on the call, and we'll do some announcements. But in the meantime, I'd love for everyone to introduce themselves in the chat. Feel free to add name, company, and your LinkedIn so that the folks in the event can go ahead and find you and connect with you.
Hey guys, I'm David with Thunderbird. Nicole, Cookies Over Texas in your background, my favorite. Stuff is bomb.
You guys are feeling shy today, huh?
Thanks, Lacey, for coming from straight from the grocery store to the Zoom. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm
Lacey's
David Perkins. Sorry. I'm David Perkins.
David.
I'm the founder CEO of Beatnik Foods, an organic food company here in Austin.
Hi, David. Nice to see you. All righty. What about you, Rudy? Who's Rudy? I know who you are, but you know.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yes, I work with Anaconda Coffee. It's a Kona-based coffee company. Well, sourcing from Kona, from a family farm, but we're based in Austin, obviously. So yeah, I just wanted to, meet the HEB crew and others. And there's actually some logistics type supply chain questions I had for them too, because I'm also a student in the technology commercialization program at UT, and there is a patented sort of supply chain cooling technology that I'm doing research for. So I'd love to, as part of my project. So I'd love to chat with them about that too. So if I could line up an interview with them or something like that. So
I see you, Rudy, taking great advantage of this time.
Hey man, doing two things, right?
Yeah, doing it. Love it. Hi, Anna. Why don't you introduce yourself really quick as we're waiting for folks to hop on, then we'll get started here with announcements.
Sure. Hi, my name is Anna. I actually used to work at HEB Mexico, so very excited to be here. And I'm currently interning for a small CPG startup called Cheeky Cheeky Boom Boom. They have plant-based punch.
Awesome. All right, so we'll go ahead and kick things off. If we have not met, hello, my name is Katrina Tolentino, and I'm the Executive Director at Naturally Austin. Welcome to the Product Innovation session with HEB. Really excited for this conversation. And again, we'd love to see who's here and help everyone connect. So feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and add your LinkedIn profile to help folks find you and connect with you during and after the event. If you're new to Naturally Austin, we are the industry hub for consumer goods here in Central Texas, and we offer connection, learning opportunities like this one, employee engagement and professional development solutions to companies in the ecosystem. And most importantly, we make the community of resources transparent and accessible to anyone that needs support. So a couple of housekeeping items. If you're able to, we'd love for you to leave your camera on. It just helps us engage. And we have two presenters today, so please save your questions till the end, or feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll keep track of all of your questions, and I'll flag them for the Q&A portion at the end. Today's topic is product innovation, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the Meal Simple line. I know those kits are a total lifesaver for my household. So Lacey and Ashley are here with us today, and they're going to share the process for how HEB has developed products, the Meal Simple evolution, consumer trends driving that innovation, and the nutrition solutions available in store today. So if you're a brand, this is a really great conversation for you all to be a part of. And then I'd love to introduce our speaker. So Ashley is a product developer, nutritionist, and self-proclaimed foodie. She is an own brand product development manager, and her primary goal is to bring distinctive, clean ingredient products that taste good to shelf. And then Lacey will be speaking right after Ashley. Lacey Haney has worked as a dietitian for 15 years in a variety of roles, from employee wellness to marketing and clinical nutrition. At HEB, Lacey partners with the dietitian team and the medical community to build relationships with vendors. So welcome, Ashley and Haney, and take it away.
Okay, let me start by sharing my screen. One moment, please. Can everyone see the title slide? Okay, I'm assuming no sound is good. Good news. All right.
Yeah, you're good.
Thanks. Well, as Katrina mentioned, I'm Ashley. I'm a product development manager for HEB. I've been doing that for the last 8 years across multiple categories. It's nice to see everyone and share with you this morning. So I want to talk about all the new fun things we're doing in Meal Simple, specifically in the health and wellness space. But before I show you what we've been working on, I thought it would be beneficial to take a couple steps back to explain what Own Brand is and how we collaborate with suppliers to bring all of these yummy items to shelf. So what is Own Brand, you might be asking yourself? Own Brand is our brands, our products for our customers. Here at HEB, we have a total product obsession. We love food. HEB relentlessly strives to help Texans live better, so we obsess over every customer need to create the highest quality, most delicious, nutritious, effective, and unique HEB brand products at affordable prices. We never stop listening and learning from our customers to create and improve products that fit their Texas life, because we believe our job is to make every day better with HEB. So our role in Own Brand is to identify business opportunities, develop products for Own Brand, validate new items for launch, and improve product experiences for HEB customers leveraging strategic suppliers. So here is a snapshot of the key players involved in making this all happen. First, I'm going to start with our Own Brand Manager, or OBM. They lead the project from idea to shelf throughout the product lifecycle. They also have a hand in label design strategy with supplier alignment, of course, and they work on launch plans and run financial analysis during and post-launch. Then we have the PDM, that's me. We develop and commercialize product formulas. We look at ingredients and nutrition and set parameters with supplier collaboration. We work on packaging structure and we lead product validation. I'll go into our validation paths in a future slide. Next, we have regulatory. Regulatory reviews and approves product packaging labels. They also review claims, ingredients, and nutritionals. They monitor USDA and FDA compliance updates, and they act as our legal liaison. This is a really important role in Own Brand. They basically keep us out of trouble, make sure we're not claiming anything too risky or high risk for litigation. So rely on them very heavily. Next, we have the designer. So the designers create packaging concepts for new lines, update and extend existing product labels, and they assist in directing photo shoots for product photography and inspiring lifestyle content. So these 4 players are within Own Brand. However, we do collaborate and work with our sourcing managers, so they help find us suppliers if we don't have a current supplier that can provide our project strategy. We work with quality assurance. PDMs align with them on shelf life information and specifications, but they also ensure that we provide safe product for our customers. And then customer insights, we really leverage them to gain the customer voice or the customer perspective. All of us work together to support the BDM, or the business, I always forget the acronym, business development manager. We all support their strategy, or his or her strategy in the Own Brand process. So next, here's a high-level overview of what considerations we work throughout the project life cycle, to bring products to shelf. We start with ideation. the team gets ideas from multiple places. We can get them from research, we get them from culinary chefs, partner ideas, restaurants, food shows, international shows, and of course our suppliers sometimes provide really great ideas as well. Then once we get the ideas, we're ready to go into the planning phase. In the planning phase, the team gains alignment on the scope of the project. We look at the business need, product and brand goals. We look at timelines, customer and competitive targets. And what I mean by that is we look if we want to compete against the leading national brand or if we want to compete against a store brand. And we also look at financials, obviously. Once we have a good outline of what that's going to look like, we're ready to go into the active phase of this timeline. Here, the product development managers works with suppliers to develop product against the planning goals that we discussed. Next, we have package and label design. Here, the brand managers work with designers to develop a package design that meets our planning goals. Next, we have print, pack, ship. And here, the suppliers produce product and packaging. The team awaits for first production and we finalize launch plans. And then next is launch, assess, and maintain. Launch plans are initiated. The team looks at how successful our projections were in planning, and we continuously monitor our products to make sure that they're meeting specifications. So next, I'll be going into more specifics about my role as a product development manager throughout this process. As I mentioned earlier, we research to help generate some of our ideas. We conduct competitive assessments to understand what claims are relevant. We provide nutritional and ingredient parameters for our products. This provides me clear direction when collaborating with our suppliers to develop products. In the next few slides, I'll be going into more detail around development, commercialization, launch, and quality monitoring and maintenance. So here's a picture.
Ashley, when you're mentioning suppliers, I'd love for you to just expand a little bit and share like who suppliers are. I just want to make sure that this group here knows who you're.
So suppliers are, we do have a few self-manufacturing suppliers. So we make our own like milk, bread, tortillas, some of our pasta grain salads, but we do leverage, I'd say the majority of the business with like co-packers or local domestic and international suppliers to really provide what we determine in planning. So if we need something like in this example is they're evaluating a bagel seasoning, we'll look for suppliers that specialize in that because we don't internally. Again, we focus on dairy, chips, and bread and tortillas. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. So here's just a picture of what we call a formal evaluation. Here you have, again, the key players. We have our product development manager, own brand manager, buyer, and sourcing manager. So when the PDM receives a proposed product from the supplier, the PDM will screen the product to ensure that it's meeting the product expectation for the project scope. If it does, then the PDM will blind the proposed sample. So what I mean by blind is my team will not be aware if they're trying the leading national brand or the proposed sample to help remove that bias. So I will blind the proposed sample against the leading national brand or store brand. When evaluating, we consider things like appearance, aroma, flavor, texture. The team then ranks the samples and indicates if they're acceptable or unacceptable. In an ideal situation, they will prefer the proposed sample and we can proceed to the next step. If the proposed sample is not preferred, then the PDM will provide the feedback to the supplier from our evaluation and modify the formulation as needed as we start the evaluation process again. Oftentimes, we want additional validation and gain customer feedback. So we will conduct customer panels where they will go through a similar evaluation process as shown here. And we will conduct customer focus groups to gain perspective. So here's a picture of one of our virtual focus groups. I utilize customer focus groups a lot on my Meal Simple projects because most of the time they are products that are distinctive, meaning there may not be a direct national brand or store brand comparison. So we will reach out to consumers of that specific product type. So for example, I am developing right now a plant-based snack tray, and I've not seen anything like this on the market currently. So what we did is we reached out to our vegan and plant-based customers that are looking for a grab-and-go snacking solution to gain feedback on my snack trays. We used to have these kind of focus groups at the Culinary Center. However, the pandemic changed the way we conducted focus groups. And I really think this format works a lot better and it's more convenient in a lot of ways. So right now what we do is we send participants samples and we conduct focus groups via Zoom. In this focus group format, I can hear feedback directly and ask clarifying questions at the end of the focus group. So I really enjoyed this new format. From this point, once the focus group is over, customers will help us determine if we can proceed to the next step, or we might make minor modifications as needed before we go into the next step. Once the product is approved by the team and customers, we work on commercialization. Commercialization is the process of bringing new products or services to the market. This entails production and distribution. During this phase, the PDM works with a supplier on shelf life, specifications, and ship tests. So we require a validated shelf life for all of our products. We collaborate with suppliers on specifications to ensure that we have a consistent product with every trial or with every run. If this is a new concept or format for the supplier, we may ask for them to conduct a ship test to ensure that the product quality remains intact when it gets stocked on the shelf. And here's just a picture of one of our first production launches. We really, as the own brand team, we love to be present at first production if possible. Obviously, that was kind of minimized during the pandemic. It started to ramp back up this year. But this is just a picture. This is a couple of our PDMs working on our Meal Simple microwavable bowls. And we're here with taking a picture with one of our local suppliers. I just wanted to share that because it's always a really exciting experience, all that hard work to finally see it created and put on shelf. But just because a product has launched, it doesn't mean that we're done with that product. We continue to monitor the productions after launch to ensure that it's meeting what we approved in our formal evaluation and the specification. So here's an example of what we continue to monitor on our HEB flavored tortilla chips. We look at blisters and seasoning coverage. We do allow for a certain percentage of defects. However, we want to make sure that they're, at a minimum or that they're under control. We wouldn't want a bag full of something like this or a bag full of like heavily seasoned tortilla chips. That's something that honestly I found really surprising or interesting before I came to Own Brand as a customer. I had no idea that HEB really looked at that level of detail, but it just kind of represents our passion on providing the best product for our customers. And here's just an example timeline from what this all looks like from beginning to end. This is about a 9-month timeline. I will say on the fresh side of the business, that's pretty standard, pretty typical. On the grocery side of the business, it tends to be a little bit longer, maybe closer to 12 months or a little over 12 months. And, there's a variety of things that can contribute to that. It could be supplier location. So for example, if they're an international supplier, sometimes that could add to the timeline. Design, if it's a heavily designed label, that sometimes can add to the timeline. But on the fresh side, we tend to be a little bit more simplistic. But anyway, just wanted to provide that perspective. So again, discovery or ideation, this is where we come up with the ideas. If we don't have a supplier readily available, our sourcing managers help us identify the right supplier for this project. Then we have recipe generation. We sometimes collaborate with our chefs, as I mentioned earlier, to get recipes and ideas. Then there's development and validation. This is where we build nutrition and ingredients. We work on our formal evaluation, and we conduct customer panels if required. We work in OBPS. I did not mention this earlier. OBPS stands for Own Brand Product Systems. It's our internal database that houses our nutrition, ingredients, allergen information, claims, and our specifications. So suppliers do have access, suppliers that we work with have access to this, and we collaborate on the accurate information that will go on the label. Then we have scale up, design, and then finally launch. So now that I've provided you a little bit of context of what goes on to develop own brand products and how we collaborate with our suppliers, I want to share with you all the amazing things going on in Meal Simple, particularly in the health and wellness arena. So Meal Simple, keep it simple. Great for when you don't have time to think about the next meal, much less prepare it. Our assortment offers chef-inspired meals that are fresh, convenient, and easy. We have 4 different categories within the Meal Simple line. We have oven-ready items, microwavable items, grab and go, and we just launched a new grilling line. Within these 4 categories, we have cuisines in classic Italian, Mediterranean, Asian, and Mexican. So our customers, we reached out to customers and they told us that this is what meal solutions, what cuisines they were looking for in this area. And so we delivered on that based off of, again, getting customer feedback. So here's a snapshot of the current assortment. This isn't showing our entire assortment, obviously, but shows you what products fall under each category in Meal Simple. I work on the ready-to-eat side of the business, but in the past, I've contributed to oven-ready and microwavable items within Meal Simple. We've come a long way since we started in 2015. Our first item was an oven-ready salmon fillet. It's still one of our most popular items, but we've expanded our assortment a lot. In 2019 is where we did most of that expansion. So it's been really exciting to see all the new items come to shelf personally. So now I'd love to share what we're doing in the health and wellness space. We've heard loud and clear from our customers that they wanted lower carb options in Meal Simple, and we were happy to execute on this idea. So in 2021, we launched our net carb line with Meal Simple. We began by partnering with nutritionists to define what makes a low carb meal and what was allowed for net carbs. So we determined, again, working with our nutritionists, that we were not going to allow any more than 10 grams per serving or per meal. So for those that aren't familiar, a lot of low carb or keto consumers look for on package total net carbs. So net carbs is just, when you look at the nutrition facts panel, you look at total carbohydrates and you subtract the amount of dietary fiber, and that gives you net carbohydrates. A lot of products that are targeted towards this customer will have a calculation kind of breaking it down. And we have the same thing on our Meal Simple net carb items. So after we determined those parameters, we collaborated with our chefs, research groups, customers to build a robust assortment that we know our customers will love. We launched 23 new items to provide a guilt-free meal that delivers a flavor-first eating experience. While low carb is our first step into lifestyle offerings, be on the lookout for vegan and vegetarian options coming really soon. Next, Lacey will talk about everything nutrition services can provide and how our team of in-store dietitians can help promote our health and wellness products to our customers.
Hey, y'all. Like Ashley said, I'm Lacey. I am with our nutrition services department.
I am a dietitian. I've been a dietitian now about 15 years, and now I work with our nutrition services team, more specifically with sales and marketing and building relationships out in our community with vendors and with our medical community. Next slide. So if we were in person, I would ask for a show of hands, but I always like to ask people how many people knew HEB had dietitians. And we always joke that we're HEB's best kept secret because a lot of people don't know about us. And so we love getting out the word. HEB has a team of dietitians that are actually in store. And then of course, during COVID, we were virtual, and we'll probably still keep the virtual offerings, but we're finally able to start transitioning back into store. And we provide one-on-one nutrition education. And then we teach our patients how to actually apply that in the grocery store aisles. So it's a full medical nutrition therapy and then application in the store. We have over 60 dietitians across the state with all different kinds of specialties, all different experiences. So we have a really diverse team. And we are literally covering everywhere that there is an HEB. So all the way from the border up to our new store in Lubbock, all across Central Texas, San Antonio, the Gulf Coast, and Houston. So we have dietitians everywhere. And then with our virtual platform, we're also able to meet patients wherever they are. Next slide. So one thing that our HEB dietitian team is really passionate about is meeting patients where they are as far as where their lifestyle is. Everyone kind of has a goal they're working on, whether that's like disease management or chronic condition management, or just overall wellness and just lifestyle. We want to meet our patients where they are and help guide and direct them to where they're trying to be. We can work with specific diagnosis and conditions like diabetes and hypertension, or maybe just someone who's an athlete who's trying to perform better. Our dietitians are going to be able to help educate and grocery shop with all of those patients. Next slide. So who are some of the people that we work with? Our dietitians work, of course, one-on-one with individuals and families, helping point out product, helping them shop the grocery store. We also work with medical providers. So we are out in the community talking to doctors, nurse practitioners, PAs, those people that are providing healthcare to our Texans. We are also meeting with them and providing them with education, providing them with product to try, helping them to also learn about some of the offerings that we have in store. We also work with employer groups, providing more like employee wellness services. So educating in like group classes, once again, like featuring product, helping people understand what products are offered. You can see this is an example of one of our dietitians doing a cooking demo for an employer group. And she's actually just doing that in her home kitchen because it was COVID. So we are able to feature products and really get the word out to a lot of people. Next slide. So how we influence. One thing, if you spend any time around a dietitian, one thing you will find out very quickly is that we love food, and we love trying new foods, and we love hearing about new foods, and we love new products. And so we love getting the education on different products and different developments and what everyone is out there working on. So how we're able to influence and how we're able to leverage brands is that our dietitians are really able to quickly build trust with their patients and with our medical community. This helps to improve brand awareness because we're speaking about product every day, whether that's to a doctor, a patient. We are helping people decide and determine what products could help or what products are good for whatever their condition is that they're trying to manage or whatever their goals are they're trying to reach. So it's a good way for vendors and different new product development groups to hear and to use us to help get the word out about the new products that you're developing. Next slide. So this is just a quick glimpse of some numbers if you're just trying to kind of put some numbers around what we're doing. This is actually for 2021, so it's not for the full year. So there's definitely still more to come, but this was as of about a month ago. We've worked with over 2,000 medical providers across Texas. We've received over 14,500 referrals. We have seen 6,750 patients. And then, like I said, we have over 60 registered dietitians. So that's a lot of people that we are getting in front of. And this wasn't even in a full year. What we do know is that our education is impacting and changing buying habits of our customers. We know that 7% of new customers will see an increase in basket after working with a dietitian. We also know that 100% of new dietitians will pick up at least, 100% of new households will pick up at least one item that the dietitian recommends. And 94% of existing households will pick up at least one item that an RD recommends. So they're really listening to us and they're really changing their basket based on our recommendations and things that we're telling them. So next slide. So different opportunities to partner with our dietitian team. It's a great way to leverage our team for your marketing strategies, or if you have a certain population you're trying to get. For example, we have a text channel, which is kind of pictured up in the corner. It's an opportunity to bring products and new products to our dietitians' minds. So actually, we created this as a health and wellness dietitian-facing text channel, which was for our 60+ HEB dietitians. We know that now there's over 600 subscribers. So there's other partners in HEB that found out about our text channel and have subscribed. But it's just a quick way to get product in front of people. So our dietitians, it's a great way for them to bring to light new products, maybe something they didn't know about, just a quick education on maybe a product they did know about. So it's just a really quick reminder for our dietitians to see and know a new product. We also make health and wellness boxes that we deliver out to our medical community, and we also deliver to our dietitians. This is an example down in the corner. We are able to get those out to a bunch of different people. We do 750 boxes every quarter. So we're getting product into people's hands. We're getting that out there for them to try. And we're getting that out there so that they can, whether it's just a coupon or whether it's an actual sample, we're getting that into people's hands and into our dietitians' hands so that they're able to try new products so they can recommend. And then of course, we are also always giving out product, whether that's in a clinic or our dietitians are giving it out to patients. We love getting to share products. We love getting to sample products, and we love sharing samples so that everyone out there can also try y'all's awesome products. Next slide. And we also do a little coupon book. This is a coupon book that we take out to our medical providers, and they give them to their patients. It's just a fun, quick way for people to provide education, provide a handout, provide coupons, and for patients to get it or customers to get it and to come back into store and use it. So it's been really fun. This was something new we actually started during COVID, just another way to get in front of people, to get product into their hands, to get coupons into their hands, and just, you know, stir up some excitement around some products that we have in store. Next slide. So we also have the opportunity to bundle some of these options, whether or not you have a specific market you're trying to reach. I know everybody kind of has their own goals or certain group they're trying to reach. And so where we kind of see where we can bundle it is if you're trying to just face the community. So whether you are just trying to get product out to people, you're just trying to get it into the general public, or maybe you're trying to get it you know, education for the dietitians, or maybe you're wanting them to have the samples, or if you're wanting health influencers, so you're really trying to bring in that whole medical community. We're able to really target what audience you are trying to reach and what your goals are. The main thing that we have to put an asterisk on is that we are only able to partner with brands that are currently in store. And so that's our only limitation on specifically what we're able to work on. Or you know, we also try to make sure we're using better for you brands or products. So any questions? I guess we can go through the chat, or Katrina, I don't know if you have a particular way you want us to approach that.
Yeah, I'll just start at the bottom. Actually, David had a question. Sorry, my dogs have decided to start. So David wanted more info on, how to partner. So let's say you're already in the store. What is the best way to connect with HEB to get that process going?
Yeah, so if you're already in store, then you can always go through your buyer, or I can put my email in the chat and you can reach out and we can set up some time to discuss the possibility.
Awesome. Laura, I'm going to go to you. I think you had a couple of questions. So why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
So hi, this is Laura Shankar, and we're just launching this PKN, which is Texan pecan milk. And what we're dying to know is how much we can get people involved who are not ultra athletes and aren't models and aren't super disciplined dietitians, dieters and that kind of thing. So we're wondering, when you guys do your outreach and you talk about the impact that you're having, are these people who are diagnosed with diabetes, with heart disease, who really sort of says, all right, I'm going to start changing things and I want to talk to you guys? Who are the people that you have impact on, who aren't like already perfect?
Well, so that's kind of broad. So I will say 90% of our patient population is coming to us like from their physician, their doctor or nurse practitioner or PA is sending them over. Because whether that's a food allergy, whether that's high blood pressure, it runs the gamut, literally like anything. So 90% of our population is physician referral. Beyond that, literally like anyone can just schedule an appointment to meet with the dietitian. So it spans the gamut.
But so they've been sent by their doctor, but are they sent by their doctor for specific conditions? Because that's a big step, or I'm hoping it's a big step for people who are thinking differently. I guess that's what I'm hoping to hear from you.
Say that one more time. I'm not totally following.
So when I call you after my doctor's referred me to you, is it usually that they've said, look, you're showing up to be pre-diabetes, or you're showing up to be, is it heart disease? Is it a food allergy? What is the 80% of the people who call you because their doctor has told them to call you?
That is
really
honestly huge. Yeah, there's there's probably like 70 or 80 conditions that people come to us for that like are diagnoses that typically dietitians work with. So yeah, it's a lot of things.
So, and I guess you mentioned low carb. Is low carb part of the majority?
Ashley was kind of the one that was speaking on low carb, and when she was talking about the meal simples. Is that what you're meaning?
Yes. What was your question around low carb? What I can tell you
is low carb is sort of a lower, I guess, lowering your hypoglycemic index or lowering your sugar intake. Is that one of the key themes?
Really, we're just focusing around the total amount of net carbohydrates. We are trying to, obviously, in alignment with what that customer is looking for, minimize added sugars, and limiting the amount of starchy kind of vegetables. I think that's kind of inherent in, that's like a given when you're developing it, that you just have to, you can't use sugar or a lot of sugar, and you can't use a lot of high carb items in order to meet that net carb threshold.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ashley, I'd like to build on what you just said. I think, low carb obviously and keto is very prevalent now. I'd love to get some insights from you both around what predictions or observations can you share on those lifestyle categories that brands should be paying attention to. It seems that customers are a lot more flexitarian these days, right? Let's say they're like lower carb most of the time, but they add 2 days where they are plant-based only, right? So it's really interesting how flexible customers are and how much more risk they're taking around their purchases. So I'd love to get some feedback from you both around, any predictions or observations that brands can learn from.
Yeah, I would say, based off my experience and research in the last, I feel like 8 months, what I will say before I go into that is that low carb's been around for a while, and that's here to stay. What was really surprising is keto. I'm going to be one of the first, I'll be fully transparent. I thought it was going to be a fad, but based off of customer data, it's not going anywhere for a while. As a matter of fact, we're looking into seeing how we can message that, because keto kind of goes into like medical claims. And we as HEB try to be as conservative as possible. And so net carb was kind of our workaround. So it's not saying keto, but trying to really demonstrate to our customer that it is low carb and so that it could attract that customer as well. Again, I would say that if you are looking into that line or into that market, again, I mentioned earlier, staying away from added sugars, or looking at items that will spike the glycemic or your blood sugar levels, looking at the glycemic index, keeping it as clean ingredient as possible, because again, that really resonates with that type of customer as well.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Lisa. Lisa, you had a question about the development of the product. Why don't you jump in if you're able?
Hi. Yes, I wanted to ask you, how do we contact someone at HEB to do, like, we right now have keto meals, but as you know, there isn't a USDA guideline to call keto meals for meat. So we're not allowed to use that, but we actually developed it for hospitals across the country and insurance companies to send out to patients that are dealing with obesity.
Got it. What I can do is I can share my email, my work email address, and I can, depending on what category, so if it's in the frozen or shelf stable, I might have missed what arena that your products live into. I can definitely share that with the sourcing manager and the BDM of that category. But as an overall point of contact, I don't have that. I would actually have to reach out to probably my sourcing manager to figure out the best avenue to gain that perspective. That's just how I've shared it in the past when I've interacted with other suppliers. Is just like, send me your ingredient deck or send me your, portfolio, and I'll forward it to the perspective or the right BDM.
Okay, we can also send in ingredients so you can do meals.
Got it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
No, thank you.
Feel free to continue dropping your questions in the chat. One of the questions I had, Ashley, you mentioned your customer insights team and, listening. I'd love for you to share a little bit more what those tactics look like. And, I think a lot of brands are also, they have a lot of strategies around that, but I'd love to dive a little bit more into how HEB listens to customers.
Yeah, that's a great question. We utilize a lot of different avenues. So we gain customer perspective multiple ways. Customers can submit feedback and product recommendations via heb.com. If you go to the website, there's a contact us. I will tell you, every week, our team gets an Excel spreadsheet full of good complaints, bad complaints, and recommendations. So that would be a good way that we get direct customer feedback. Managers at the store level will also directly email the procurement team and myself on any recommendations that they're hearing consistently from customers. You mentioned customer insights. We do leverage them a lot. We use them for not only to reach out to customers throughout Texas, but also internally. We actually use we get a lot of feedback from our partners. But I will say, if you are not a HEB partner, we have this program called HEB Insiders. You just go to hebinsiders.com, you enter your information, and it allows customers a chance to share their thoughts on how to make their shopping experience better at HEB. Internally, we have it's called a product tester program, where we'll leverage like I said, internal partners to gain feedback on some of the items that we're developing today. What else? Yeah, I think those are like the ways that we get customer feedback. So not just one way, multiple ways.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And I know that you are utilizing focus groups as well. I'm curious, I'm sure that there are lots of customers that would love to participate in a sampling session. How do you all identify what customers to include in those focus groups? What are those focus groups typically, a size? I'm just curious about like operationally. I think our brands here could learn a lot from that.
Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, I am only involved. I kind of tell them the parameters like, okay, I want this customer. I don't want it to be this customer. And CIC or Consumer Insights team does a really great job at developing the surveys. They ask a variety of questions to kind of deselect certain customers that might just be answering just to like participate. So I know like one of the questions they'll ask is like, are you a consumer of HEB crackers? And they'll ask the frequency that they purchase the crackers. And if they put like once a month, I feel like I'm giving away our secret, like to qualify, but if they put once a month, we really want someone that at minimum probably consumes this product, if not every day, every week, maybe every other week. That's how you can qualify. But yeah, they do a really good job like asking those probing questions without making it's a really simple survey too, to gain the right customer. But it all starts with the own brand team kind of setting those parameters of what our target customer is.
Yeah, so really the takeaway is that as brands, you really need to build a very specific user profile so that when you are going out to find customers to do your tastings and getting that feedback from, you are in fact getting the right customers in the room. I just want to take a pause here and allow anyone that has a question that hasn't dropped it into the chat to hop in. Anyone want to hop in? I definitely have more questions if if y'all are feeling shy today. No? Okay. Ashley, you also mentioned the safety and shelf life. I think in maybe at a different call, maybe not in this call, you mentioned that that HEB standards are higher than the baseline standards. I'm curious, what are the standards that HEB adheres to? I know you were mentioning, all the testing that you all do. I'd love for the brands to learn about that.
Yeah, so it really is dependent on what the brand strategy is of the product. So you're familiar, or you might not be familiar, under HEB, we have multiple brands. So if it's Hill Country Fare, it allows for some flexibility on like the ingredient parameters. They don't have to necessarily be a clean ingredient, but however, it cannot contain any synthetic colors. But if it's HEB, it has to be select ingredient, meaning it has to be clean ingredient. It has to be equal to or better than the leading national brand. If it's Meal Simple, it has to be chef inspired. So we definitely leverage a lot of our internal culinary chefs to ensure that we're meeting that brand standard. For shelf life, and again, I can only provide perspective of HEB because that's been my entire career. But what I've had suppliers share with me in the past is yes, that our standards are pretty high. So again, like I mentioned on shelf life, in the past, we may not have expected shelf life on all of our products, which is surprising because I feel like that's so important to have that validation, but also around specifications. That's something that we've really grown into and expanded in our expanded and required for HEB products. So that's so important because again, we want the customer experience to be consistent and we don't want to disappoint. We really strive to have the same customer experience every time they try our products. So that's why I stated in the presentation, we collaborate with our suppliers on, hey, what are you monitoring currently to ensure that it's consistent? So like, and then if they don't currently monitor something that we see as a key critical factor in scale up, then we work on a timeline as to when they can implement that. And again, it's really beneficial for the supplier, but it's also to ensure that we have a consistent product and that it's beneficial for the customer.
Awesome, thank you. Lacey, I have a question for you. So I know that dietitians are in the store. I'd love for you to expand a little bit around how the customer really experiences that dietitian in the store, and you know, I'm assuming that they're walking the customer, you know, around the store and kind of pointing product out. Can you share a little bit more about that process?
So our dietitian team is starting to transition back into store. We were in store, and then the pandemic hit. We pulled everyone out of store, and we're 100% virtual. We're starting to transition back into store where we have what we refer to as a designated space. So think about like over by the HEB pharmacy, you'll see those immunization rooms. Something similar to that is what our dietitians will have. So they have a little room similar to the immunization room where they meet with patients. So they'll come into the store, meet with their dietitian, go through the whole process, medical nutrition therapy. So, discussing goals, discussing where they're at, discussing diagnosis, health history, all of the things. Our dietitian will assess that and then provide the education from there. Then also, yes, we will head out into the store and we'll use our store as our classroom. So we're not just going to give them a bunch of information and send them on their way. We're going to head out into the aisles and we're going to show them how to actually apply that information while they're actually standing in the aisles for those that are in store. Of course, we do the same thing virtually. If they're not able to make it into the store, there's not a store near them that actually is back in store yet.
And if you don't have a physician referral, this is a service that customers can take advantage of?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, anybody can just call in and schedule. Our team is credentialed with insurance. And so if you are wanting it to be insurance or covered by insurance, that's also a very loaded conversation, but oftentimes a physician referral does help with that. So if you call and schedule on your own, then we can go back on the back end and get that physician referral from your provider. So that way it can potentially be.
Yeah, that's definitely a really powerful moment, right? If making those recommendations in the store. Anna, looks like you have a question. How about you ask your question live?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I want to say, Lacey, I used to go to my HEB dietitian and then would always feel guilty when bumping to her, like on the wine aisle or beer. But well, it's a great resource if you all haven't tried it before. My question is more for Ashley. I'm curious how much the idea of a new product is modified or adjusted due to the supplier capabilities. And like, what's the biggest challenge when finding your manufacturer?
What was the last question? What is the biggest challenge?
Or the limitations when finding your manufacturer?
Got it. That's a great question. So first of all, I think what's really important is that we align in planning what HEB is trying to accomplish from a product perspective and what the supplier can provide. If it's too far of a disconnect, we might choose that this isn't the right time to work with that strategic supplier, and that could have influence as to why we consider somebody else. So again, when those initial conversations happen with HEB and the supplier, it's very important for the supplier to be completely transparent on the amount of flexibility that's allowed. I will say that I feel like 95% HEB is going to want to modify something. We like to just have a little bit of, a lot of influence on the final product. It's been very minimal. I've had very minimal experience where we just took the product as is, especially if we have to get customer feedback, which is so important to us. And so, and again, I'd say the majority of the time, our customers will provide minimal feedback on flavor, and we'll obviously want to execute on what we hear. But again, it helps if you have those very honest conversations. We also are aware that there's certain things that could add to cost. And again, once we have that cost outline or understanding in planning, it's important to know what changes could potentially impact that, because I have encountered times where we fall in love with the formulation after several iterations of modifications and having to either stop the project because the costing didn't work out. So again, constant communication throughout the process is important. As far as limiting factors, I mean, with suppliers, I feel like I think we understand that at HEB, we ask for a lot. And so I think we just look for collaboration, transparency with the communication. And as long as we have that and we see that in the beginning, I think that'll go a long way. We'll keep that in mind. If it might not be for that project, we will remember that interaction and how well it went. That I think that, I mean, there's tons of things that we have to develop. It's not gonna, just because it's not for that one particular project, just being upfront, being a good communicator and collaborative will go a long way.
Excellent. Yeah, and I bet some suppliers want to modify themselves to fit to HEB because it's a great partner. So that's like a win-win type of situation. Thank you.
Awesome. So we have about 4 minutes left. So this is last call for questions.
Yeah, I had more of a comment. So Ashley and Lacey, thank you for your time today. Since you put your emails in, I took the liberty of sending you a quick email. I'd love to connect. And I sort of gave some info on the gist of what I'd like to connect about, mostly related to stuff that the university is working on in relation to supply chain. I know that might not be your particular wheelhouses, but if you could sort of pass me on to folks within the organization who might be able to chat. That's essentially what it is. We're not trying to sell anything at this point. So really just want to connect with folks who might be able to give us some insight. So that's it.
Yeah, Rudy, I'll definitely reach out to my supply chain analyst to see who the right person will be to answer your question. The only perspective from a product development standpoint is that, again, talk about what need, because I know refrigeration and freezer transit can add to the cost, which is important to know earlier.
No, definitely. And we have a deck, and it's sort of a patented technology that's been developed within a university scenario. So there's a ton of research that's actually gone into it. So I'm just sort of on the go-to-market strategy side of things, but if we could chat to someone at HEB, it would be a huge win for us. So thank you.
All right, y'all, 3 minutes. Last question. Everyone good? Oh, Laura, go ahead.
If we're going to roll it up, can we talk about where you guys see this going? Like who's, sort of how do you see things in a year changing? Is that a good question to ask one of the two of you?
I mean, I can speak from a health and wellness standpoint and own brand. It's not going anywhere. I think you'll be seeing HEB come out in a bigger way in this space. I think I mentioned, we started with low carb, net carb. I know we're going to expand in plant-based, vegan, vegetarian options. Also, free from is something that's really resonating with our customers. And what I mean by free from, gluten-free, nut-free, soy-free, dairy-free. So I know there will be a need to find suppliers that can execute on that, because obviously that has an added level of complexity if we wanted to make some of those free from claims. So yeah, expect to see health and wellness, the branding strategy grow in the next year or two.
Awesome. What about you, Lacey?
I don't have any other info besides what Ashley has. So yeah, health and wellness, I think, as we're seeing, is such a across our world, it's becoming more of a focus in society in general, which is, as a dietitian, super exciting. For us
I just wanted to add. So I went to school to become a dietitian. So I feel like in product development, I'm always like, the like waving the flag of like, we need to make it healthier, like look at sodium, look at fat. And so I'm really excited to see, like, after all like of the support, that it's going to come out in a much bigger way. It's really now's the time. So it's exciting to see.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much to you both for your time. And I know that lots of the folks here, and I know the Naturally Austin membership in general, will be really interested in learning more, Lacey, about some of the things that you shared and what brands can do in the store. So I'll definitely be sending that out. We'll put together a quick blog post recap of the highlights of this webinar and share it back out to the group with a recording. Thank you so much to everyone for being here and for being such great participants and asking all the questions. So everyone have a great day, and we will be seeing you soon. Oh, hold on, last plug. We have lots of events coming up. So feel free to hop onto the naturallyaustin.org website and go to member resources. The events page is on there. I think we have like another 6 events on the schedule over the next 6 weeks. So would love to see you all at a future event. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you.